mainly one of two reasons why leads no-show to sales calls. One is being and the second is being So welcome to we don't have a name for it yet, podcast.
You got a few ideas though right now. Like
Yeah.
6th level.
Yeah,
Or
so
like lemon tea is for closers.
there we go. So it'll be around sales teams, sales team management,
Right.
how to have your sales reps perform more. So we have some ideas. The 6th level podcast, rises for closers. So if you have any
Kimchi is for
suggestions,
closers.
What?
Kimchi is for closers.
Kimchi is for closers. So if you have any suggestions for the podcast names, it'll be around sales and sales teams. If you have one, comment below, and whichever suggestion that'll get us canceled in the shortest amount of time period, you win absolutely nothing. But we'll use your podcast name and it will probably get canceled.
It has to be controversial as much as you can, you know?
Yep.
Yeah.
So it won't be PC. We'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Now, who are we? Why the fuck should people listen to us? So I'll start with me. So my name is Brian Choi. Obviously, you know. So I used to sell for a company named 7th Level and a sales agency called Sales Sniper. So 7th Level, as people know, what people consider as the best sales training company in the world, one of the fastest growing sales companies in the world, right? So I was the number 2 highest producing rep last year before I left, out of 15 to 20 reps. So that was my first full year in sales.
Just a humble number 2, basically.
Yeah, that's but it's a team of all-star closers, right? It's you know, I've been a number 1 in different sales teams, but that is the all-star team.
It's a freaking Avengers there.
Pretty much, those are absolute sharks, and I just learned so much. And from there, I had the high show up rates. My show up rate was typically around 15 to 35% higher than all the other reps usually on that team before they started rolling out the show process I was doing to the other reps. That's when their show up rate increased as well. And on most months, I had the highest amount of upsells out of all the different closers. I actually won one of the awards for having the most amount of upsells. And from that, there's a lot of lessons I learned, which obviously we'll be talking about in this podcast as well. So that's pretty much from my side. June, obviously, you crushed in different sales teams.
Yeah, I mean, I've gone through a lot myself also. I didn't go through your route, basically. I mean, we both, I think, got started pretty much in the same route, I guess. But I mean, personally, I've sold like 17 different offers. I don't know. I've never really counted.
It's a lot.
But a lot of offers.
Yeah.
Like starting from DM setting, inbound closer, and like outbound, like cold calling, whatever it is, you know, to just put food on the table. So done pretty much a lot of them, like generating a lot of revenue for the company. Like, but I found myself also not only just doing closing, but I was the only one. Like, whenever I get into like a closing team, I'll be the only one that'll be tracking like sales, like follow-ups, like the numbers, like putting in process in place in terms of how to automate like emails, also like all that good stuff as well. Like I was doing more, even to the point where I'm like hiring for like teams also, you know, like vouching out for people, like looking out, like just a lot of different stuff to really just maximize sales for sales teams. So that's what I've been doing so far. I think so far I've been able to generate like 2.3 million also.
Savage.
With different stuff,
Yep.
different projects. And we've always been talking about starting our own podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Freaking like, you know, I don't know, it's a woo shit, but I mean, it's God that I believe gave us the universe, whatever it is, whatever your belief is, you know, but speaking into existence, and it actually came true, you know?
Yeah.
Hey, how do you feel?
No, it's cool shit because we talk about sales. We've been friends for like the last 3 years. It's funny because we actually met in a ClickFunnels Facebook group. And then I messaged you because you had the same last name. You lived in Korea. And there's not been any like people in the online space in Korea. And then since then, all we talk about every time we meet on the phone call is like sales. And then we're like, dude, we talk about sales all the time. Why don't we just start just sharing with other people so they can learn insights, right? So
The most controversial way, by the way.
exactly. So it may not be what a lot of people agree with, and they don't have to agree, but maybe some people can take away with and like see how that goes for them, right? So in here, who is this podcast for? So if someone's a business owner, right? If they're a business owner, they have a sales team, they want to increase their sales team's performance, getting more prospects showing up to sales calls. On the sales calls, closing more people on the sales call. Once they close, increasing the lifetime value of their client, right? And to ultimately grow the business. So we'll be sharing insights. Obviously, June, you've been in different offers. I think we bring each other unique perspectives because I think I had it quote unquote easier in my sales career because obviously you helped me get my first sales job. And then after that, I got into Sales Sniper, which is my dream job, and then I was brought to 7th level, and I never did like the quote unquote offer hopping, which is jumping from one company to another because the lead flow didn't work out or whatever it may be, and you're kind of the opposite spectrum. You start from the ground zero scratch, right? And then you've been in different companies, and obviously you share like more experience, and there's different sales reps, sales managers, so on and so forth. So in this podcast, we can share, okay, what helped us make more sales that other companies can take away with. Sales management. In this episode, we can talk about that. What sales management style we liked and what we found was effective, and what we didn't like, because we talk about the two, and what were not as effective. So we can talk about that.
I started out in sales with a guru, by the way. His name is, we all know his name, Sifu. Sifu with the red suit.
Sifu.
So I'm basically your Sifu, I guess.
Oh yeah, there we go. That's one
I
way.
like that. I like that,
Yeah. So let's first start with, and obviously we'll have guests as well. And that's something that we're grateful for, that we have access to different amazing people that are really some of the best in the game in the sales industry that we can bring onto the guests as well. Right, so we're in Dubai. We'll have people sorting through Dubai.
So we just gotta make sure that we're not gonna get canceled. I mean, for the guests, I guess. But I don't know. Like
we can just keep starting.
Let's just be straightforward.
We can just do money laundering for our podcast. So we can just like keep starting a new podcast ever and ever until they eventually shut us down. Yeah.
Well, we gotta do what we gotta do. Gotta put food on the table.
That's what we gotta do.
Yeah.
So let's start with this. So maybe we can start with the skill set side of things that other sales teams can kind of take away with. So I've been in Dubai for the last 9 months. I've been kind of doing my own thing, and then obviously you flew out here. You've been kind of like crashing in my crib, and we're both taking sales calls, so on and so forth.
Yeah,
that's been fun. And something, obviously, I know you have a certain level of skill set because as a sales rep, right, you're collecting like 100K, 150K, 200K a month on some months, right? So you're bringing that amount. So obviously you're skilled, one of the best performers in the teams. But when I heard you. There was one instance, like there are a few calls where the prospect has an objection. What a lot of sales reps do is they just give up, right? They get an objection and it's like, okay, they'll do a follow-up email and then they just lose out on sales. Or they go the other route, which is like they keep trying to handle objections, but they get too emotionally triggered. And I've had that too. It's something still a work in progress where I've had that where like I get an objection, like, so the development, a lot of sales reps have that where they get an objection and they get kind of like too emotionally triggered, they get frustrated. But you just chill as a potato for like 1-2 hours. Like, hey man, how about this? Have you thought about this? So how do you go about, what helps you stay calm during objections? I think that way you're not pissed off, the prospect's pissed off, but you can still hold them accountable to a higher standard.
The thing is, like, I would consider myself lazy. So whenever I wake up, I'm like, just only lay down sales. I'm not gonna objection handle anyone, like whatever. But when I get on the call though, like whenever I hear their story, like, it automatically triggers me to care more for them. I don't know. Like, whenever I see someone like selling themselves short, I have a certain level of passion. Like, I'm like, why the heck are you selling yourself short when you are more than that, So it comes from a place of that, really. Like, I understand before the price drop, like that they have already acknowledged that they're selling themselves short, basically. So my objection handling process, because I've set the tone that way, is why the heck are you selling yourself short? So I think Bogdan, which might be our guest, we never know, he mentioned about it, like if you're nervous or if you're anxious, you become an ape. Like you only use 20% of your brain capacity. So first of all, what I've done, and I don't recommend this to like literally everyone, like it's just worked for me. I just memorize like scripts. I'll just go through them like 50, 100, 200 times until it just like whatever I'm like taking a shower, I'm like, okay, whatever a prospect says this, what should I need to say? Okay, I need to make sure I say it in like 0.01 of a second, So make sure that it comes out automatically, So a lot of my objection handling skills also come from, I think, just being confident with my skills. Like, I mean, like I've trained this so many times, done this so many times. It's like, whatever you give me, I'll overcome it. I don't care. Like, I'll just make something up and just like, I don't know, like I can build something like word tracks up in the middle and just be like, it makes sense to make sure that I can present them and they see it as a solution to really overcome it their own way, really. Because objection handling for me is not me trying to just go against them. We all know that we have to be on the same side, but really just understanding that actually I'm here to help you out. I'm on your side, really, and just like you have to overcome your own objection, but I'm here to give you that level of accountability, So one of the other things that I see it as a perspective is I have fun. Like, just have fun. It's like a chess match, really, right? If they just put a pawn over here, okay, I'll put a knight over there. right? It's just like fun puzzle, that you just need to figure it out together. Really, the problem is you're not fighting against the person. So, I mean, that's my perspective. That keeps me going and going. And really, if time runs out, and really wasn't able to be successful, that's fine. I've done everything I can. I feel proud about it because I've done everything in my mind to really help that person out. It's coming from a level of accountability. I mean, that's my story. I'm pretty sure, you've had great stories where you've basically called someone outbound dial and objection handled for someone for 4 hours. I don't think I could ever do 4 hours, by the way. I lack the stamina, by the way. But you're more of what I've seen from you is you're not only just a skilled rep, but you're more of an engineer. You're more of the process guy. You always like to think outside of the box. There's one instance where a sales rep would hire a copywriter for $1,000 an hour to write your copy. Who thinks that as a closer? We closers, we get in the employee mindset. I don't like the employee entrepreneur mindset, right?
Yeah.
But you're what I see with you is that you're different. You're more of a process guy. You like to put process in place to make sure that you're getting the low-hanging fruit, really. So I want you to actually talk more about the upsell process. But let's start with the show-up rate because everyone's talking about show-up rates.
True. Yeah. I put out a post maybe a week ago about, hey, if you're struggling with low show-up rate, let's hit me up. And I had a dozen people reach out. And I have a small Facebook friend list. So that kind of gave me an idea, people kind of experience low show-up rate. So what I found is that, and I've been having some calls and helping people out about increasing show-up rate. What I found, because when I first got on 7th level, for example, the show-up rate when I was there, for me personally, it was about 30 to 40%, maybe 50%. Right? And
that's outrageous, by the way.
So I've never experienced that in any, I didn't have tons of other offers, but it was usually more than 60%. And so for that, if you imagine, if you have a sales rep, let's say they have 10 available slots, and then only 4 people show up, the other, what about the other 6 or 7? That's just burning money, right? So what I did was in the beginning, and I learned a lot from different people. So I tested different things, right? What I thought I was supposed to, which is okay, send out the homework email and then have them watch a video, watch them this other video, case study video, send them text, send them call them. And we tried so many different things. We tried personalized Loom videos, personalized selfie videos, selfie photos. We tried getting confirmation specialists. We tried getting VAs to confirm.
All those stuffs I've tried at also different offers, by the way. Yeah.
And I hear from people sometimes as well that, dude, Brian, I feel I've tried pretty much everything under the sun. It just wouldn't budge. And then mine wouldn't budge either. 50 to 60, no, not even 40 to 50%, it just wouldn't budge. But I want it to be 60, 70, high, so on and so forth. And so I just went on this journey, trying to testing different things. I tried testing over communicating, which is let me just text them more often, call them more often.
Yeah, tell me more about that actually. How did that work?
Yeah, and I think the thing about that is a lot of people want to do that because they want to get more sense of control. It's they're not showing up, so let me just confirm more. What I found is that there's mainly 1 of 2 reasons why leads no show to sales calls. Now, these are 2 umbrella categories. One is being under-communicated, and the second is being over-communicated. Right? Under-communicated meaning that they forget, they don't be reminded, whatever it may be, right? Just being underwhelmed. And the second thing is they get so many reminders that prospects get pissed off. When I was on 7th level, the good thing about selling on 7th level is that you get more direct feedback from leads because I was selling to salespeople. So they'll be more direct, and they're selling to Americans. Typically, we came from Asia, so Asian people didn't really give you feedback, right? Some European culture, they don't do that either.
Whenever you go to a restaurant, the restaurant sucks. I'll come here next time and never come back.
Oh, no, of course, right? That's just culture. But what I like about, in this way, the American culture is they tell you. And so obviously you want to take that with a grain of salt, but what I found is dude, I'll be there. I get it. So people get pissed off, so they either no-show or cancel the call. So at that point, it was kind of hard to let go of that control, but I was you know what, let me just kind of chill back a little bit. And then now what I found is that less is more. Less text, less emails, less calls, less. And then that's one of the reasons why my show-up rate went from about 30 to 40%. By the time I left, it was 65 to 67% show rate and 70 to 80% slot utilization rate.
Okay, let me stop you there because I've worked with different offers. A lot of business owners want the sales rep to do more. Like, I mean, there are a lot of lazy sales reps.
Oh, yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
they don't want the sales rep to do more like personalized, like just call them whatever, But what you're telling is kind of contradicting the norms, which is like you got to do more to actually get certain results.
Yep.
But what you're talking about is more like efficiency, like being more concise to actually get those people to show up. So when it comes to doing less, like how do you mean by that exactly in terms of like what you do, like break down your process?
Yeah, so what I used to do is like I send them the email, right? Hey man, so we have a call at this day. Okay, I send you the email, right? Did you receive it? They'll be like, yes. And there's a process I learned from Anthony Vazari from Sales Sniper and now 7th Level. Shout out to Anthony. And that was good. And then the thing with what I learned is that you want to make sure that they watch the homework and then until how Anthony was doing it, and that works incredibly for him. And he's a savage. He would never take the sales call until they go through the video.
Huh.
So he kept rescheduling. How much have you gone through? You didn't finish it? Okay, well, let's schedule and then we'll finish it now. That's how I was doing it.
But let me stop you there. Devil's advocate though, won't that take up your calendar space? Is that like an inefficient way to actually use your calendar though?
What?
In terms of like rescheduling people because they haven't watched the video.
Good. I mean, there's also devil's advocate, right? There's one side of it is, well, if they don't watch the video and didn't close in the first call, then like they ghost and never come back, as opposed to if you reschedule, they watch it and now you close them, then you close them there. There's two sides to it.
Right.
And I also talked to Matt, right? Shout out to Matt Ryder, the former CEO of 7th Level, right? And what I talked to Matt about, he's like, man, like who cares? Just bang out sales. And then that's simpler. I love talking to Matt because he just like simplifies things, right? He's like, dude, who cares? Just bang out sales. I was like, oh, bang out sales. All right.
Be better.
Exactly.
Be a better closer.
Right. But it's like, when I heard that, I was like, okay, let me just see how it goes. Instead of rescheduling people, I'll just like, okay, so let me just turn up to the sales call. Even if they don't watch it, let me just go through the process. And I just want to preface it by saying confirmation process and these things, the tactics can vary depending on who you sell to and what you sell. Because selling to like a 9-to-5 people versus selling to like real estate investors, like business owners, so on and so forth, it needs to be tailored, right? So which is why we do the type of work we do, where we go into business and tailor that for that business specifically, right? But you got to understand like why. So first step is identifying why are people not showing up. You got to find the root cause. And then the second is you build out a system, you build out a process, and then you stress test it. Meaning that you put through enough leads through that system 20, 30 times maybe or more. And then you track the data meticulously and you change one thing at a time.
Okay.
Right?
Then do you feel like when it comes to show up rate with business owners or investors compared to 9 to 5, my personal experience is that, and this is a feeling by the way, I haven't really tracked this down because I didn't really track down like based on the audience, but I feel like investors or business owners show up better.
Oh yeah.
Like way better than like 9 to 5 people.
100%.
Yeah. I mean, how did you feel about like your process? Well, did you see the same thing, what I've seen, or like in terms of that, like how did you also adjust based on that specifically?
100%. Because like as I was maturing in the company at 7th Level, I started selling both B2B and B2B, B2C and B2B. So B2B, my show up rate was like 90%. My show up rate was 90%, and I wasn't even trying to like, oh, let me just get people. No, it was like people just showing up because like. And I wasn't even, like my confirmation process was more laid back because those people are like, dude, I get it, I'll show up. We're just talking to one business owner meeting right before this, right? He was saying the same thing, right? He was on a different sales call and he was like, dude, like he keeps getting reminded the calls, like, dude, I get it, I'll fucking be there, right? So it needs to be tailored for each avatar. Going back to what we're talking about, the confirmation process, I used to be like, hey, how much of the videos have you gone through? Did you watch it? If not, I'm not gonna like, hey man, we can just reschedule. That's what we used to do. But now I'm just like, hey, I sent you the video, did you receive it? Great. Chat tomorrow.
Okay.
Morning of, hey, did you receive a Zoom link for a meeting this morning? There's something I learned from Shane. Shout out to Shane from 7th Level. So what some people do in the confirmation process is, first of all, it's automated. So it'll say something like, hey, June, we have a call today at May 15th, Wednesday, 3:00 p.m. EDT. Are you still good for that? When people get that, you can tell it's automated. Right? And the thing about being automated is that when people can tell it's automated, they don't want to respond and it kind of turns them off.
The more casual it is, the better. No matter 100%. Who you're talking with,
100%. So what I started doing was, hey, let's say we have a call today. Hey, did you receive the Zoom link for a meeting this morning? So I don't say 3:00 p.m. EDT. I say this morning. There's something I learned from Shane, because if you're meeting with a friend, usually you'll say something like, hey, do you want to ride to the concert tonight? If you have a date, do you want an Uber to sushi tonight? You don't usually say like 8:00 p.m., right? You don't say that. So it's more like conversational. And the more conversational, like less formal, depending on what you sell, obviously. But for the most part, even for B2B usually, right? Then like I was like, oh, this person actually texted this out, right? So they respond, and then now they have more skin in the game to actually show up.
Then how do you build up that anticipation before the call, or do you even do that?
Anticipation? What do you mean by
In
that?
terms of indoctrination or getting them excited before the call.
Good point. So there's different sales processes, right? So a lot of the businesses, like we help like info, like coaching businesses, and typically most sales processes look like, whether it be a 1 call close or 2 call close, maybe they have an application form, tell them about their brief situation and their challenges, or they'll previous to that talk to an SDR, whether it be in the DMs or in a call, whatever it may be. And so if you find out like basic information about what's their situation, what they're trying to do, what their problem is, then you can send them specific material that'll be more relevant to them.
Yeah.
So as an example, let's say you help people start like an e-com store, right? It's like a biz op. 9 to 5 people start an e-com store, or previous people who have an e-com store help them scale it. If you find out they're in a 9 to 5 and then they want to start an e-com to have more time frame, you find out in the previous application form or sales conversation, right, then you can send them a homework page, be like, hey, so XYZ influencer name or SDR name, right? Jack, let me know that right now you're 9 to 5 trying to scale an e-com store, get more time freedom. Here's an interview we did with one of our students, Sally, who was working as a nurse for 60 hours a week, doing night shifts, not able to spend time with their family. And with our XYZ e-com system, now she built out a store. Now she's working 30 hours a week, making 10K a month, spending more time with her family. And she's going through the process she did to make that happen.
Yeah. I think that's one of the things I've learned from you also is creating a Rolodex of people, like audiences based on their, I mean, if they're 9 to 5, again, like 9 to 5 testimonials, or if they're investors, real estate, like creating different testimonials and putting them in different categories. And then, okay, like based on their application now, okay, they're a realtor, send them this testimonial. Because what this guy did in this testimonial was he was a realtor being able to like escape that and just create his own e-com store. So the guy's more like pumped because now, oh, you can actually help realtors. You understand my situation. So the call becomes even more productive, you know? And that's what we're talking about is small hinges open big doors. Like literally these small processes that we built up all compiles down to not only just our calls, but our follow-up as well. You know? And one thing that you mentioned while we're getting here also is the different lead sources and how the differences vary between, like, for example, like a lead from Facebook ads or websites or Instagram. Like you've seen different closing ratio, and I think you were the only one that really tracked that down. Like, can you tell me more about that also? Yeah,
pretty much. And then before going to that as well, in terms of like the show up rates, that's a lot of times it prevents objections as well.
Oh yeah.
You don't want to like just do like a layup, like there should be like credit card in hands. Like it's in an ideal scenario, but most of the times it's like that. But a lot of times why it leads no show and give objections on sales calls is because they feel like what the company does may not work for them. So for example, when I was selling for 7th Level, like it was such a broad type of avatars we work with in terms of they could be a sales manager, they could be like a business owner, they could be in insurance, or they could be in like SaaS. And so if you send them something like solar related, but they're in insurance, they'll be like, yeah, but they were in solar. Or like if it's like let's say an e-com, if you send them a video of someone who was brand new, had no experience, scale it to their e-com store, but the prospect, let's say, hey, I already have an e-com store, I'm doing okay, but I would really scale it to the moon. They're gonna be like, is this only for beginners? Like they start to have that thought consciously or unconsciously.
Right.
So therefore they let last cycle show up on the sales call, they give objections like, yeah, but I'm not sure if this worked for me, or hey, this sounds good, but let me think about it.
Right. And there's so much that a closer can do because they're chasing for the next commission. But I believe like these type of like adjustments that we're making is definitely from the management responsibility, because the thing is, like I said, closers are busy just getting on the next call. But like there's so much a closer can do when you get on the call and be like, the prospect's like, I don't know if you can help me. Like, I mean, I see a lot of 9-to-5 guys, but can you help like investors also? Like, I mean, you can still close them with like a certain level of conviction, but why do you need to play what was that? Like, it's not a low hanging fruit. Like, it's just, you're playing an upside battle. Is that what they call it?
Yeah,
like,
uphill battle.
Yeah, uphill battle. Like you're sabotaging yourself basically. So at the end of the day, closers like to place the blame, like really good closers, they like to place the blame on that. They like to take responsibility and say, oh, I suck.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, it's a sales management like responsibility to even eradicate that in the first place. Making sure that the sales rep, when they're getting on the call, that at least they're warmed up, like the prospect is warmed up. And it's actually a neutral position, not an uphill battle, you know? So in terms of that also, because a lot of managers, what they do is like, hey, just why didn't you like say this? Why didn't you say this? Or why don't you do more outbound dials? Yeah, I mean, like A players would do that. But the thing is, what are you doing in your process and how are you analyzing that process to make sure that your closers or your setters are not really playing the uphill battle, you know? Because there's so much you can do in the process as well. And that's where we're coming back to the lead source analysis as well, is that there's like closing ratio can not only just differ between the skill set as well, but really with where the lead is coming from as well. And I don't think, of all the offers that I've worked with, like not a lot of, like I think about 0 of those offers really track down where their leads are coming from and the closing ratio behind all of that as well.
Yeah, no, for sure. So in terms of the sales side of things too, is you want to front load if you can, because obviously if you're a savage closer, yes, on the sales call, you can build more urgency, you can do that, you can do this, but obviously if you front load is better. In terms of lead source, I didn't even come up with it. Matt was like, hey guys, start tracking your lead source. Or I don't think he told people to do it, but I was like, hey, it's helpful if you do it. And I think I was the only person that did it, if not maybe one other person.
And that's why you're freaking savage, man.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, so I was like, okay, so let me kind of break down what are different lead sources. Obviously, like there's a lot of leads coming in from different sources. There's, you know, and if someone's listening to this, they can go through their lead sources. Do you have YouTube organic? Do you have YouTube ads? Do you have SLO funnels, right? Low ticket buyers, Instagram DMs, Facebook groups, website leads. What do you got, right?
And how does your closing ratio differ between each lead source as well?
Yeah,
because it's definitely different. Like the nurturing system and everything, like where they're coming from, is different.
100%. So that's why I love looking at the data, because it's so fascinating. Because I kind of had an idea what that difference would be, but until I broke it down, I was like, oh, this is pretty interesting. And I looked at the data, and sometimes I think I like looking at spreadsheets more than I like looking at human beings. I think
you chose the wrong profession, man.
I guess so. I think Sam Alvin said the same thing, but so I relate with that. When I was looking at it, I realized typically, obviously, it depends on the businesses, right? But the business I was selling for, okay, YouTube organic leads, those are going to be just like YouTube organic and podcasts. Those are just going to be higher close rate, higher show up rate, right? Reason for that is because long form, now we're like attention span, like people have like they're monkeys, right? And like I fall into that victim too.
Yeah.
Where like Instagram Reels, you're like 5-second videos, TikToks, and so you're like all over the place getting so many pieces of information that if someone sat down, watched a 20-minute YouTube video, and then they watch it, right? Or podcast, if they keep listening to you and they binge it because like it'll autoplay, then just like now you're so indoctrinated, you get to know like what this influencer thinks, how do they think? Their argument for why this is the best business model or why this unique mechanism, this methodology is way better than the other ones. How is it different? They're like, oh, this makes sense. You start to see like case study results, right? Same thing with Facebook groups. It's like a melting pot.
Yeah, I think Alex Hormozy said it also, is like the leads that watch this 2-hour video are like, they're like done deals already.
Yeah.
Like when someone is like, watch your content for like 2 hours straight, like, I mean, they've already built, in their own mind, they've already built a connection with you personally.
Yeah.
And they're like willing to get on a call. They're like, okay, like it comes down to the conversation. What's the price? Okay, if it makes sense, cool. Let's move forward then.
Yeah, exactly. Referrals is another one for that,
100%,
right?
Yeah.
So like why I bought, for example, Inner Circle, NAPQ Inner Circle is because obviously I saw you using NAPQ. You had a one-on-one with Marco. And I saw there's another guy named Kyle on that team. There's also a guy named Caleb. And Kyle at the time, he was one of the top reps. And then he was using NAPQ. He said he went to Inner Circle program. I was like, man, like, and then like some of the best top performers, they all went through this methodology. I was like, well, it only makes sense that I do that because success leaves clues. And I've seen how these guys sell. Man, I want to sell like that. I want to be like that. So I hopped on the sales call with Jeremy's team. I bought after 15 minutes. 15, right? And it was like I'm not going to disclose the price point because they'll hate me, but it was a significant amount.
They'll come after you, you know.
Probably if they
like
if
that's
they're
the
not
best
ready.
way to get this canceled, you know.
Yeah, if they're not ready. Hey, there we go. First episode canceled.
6th level canceled.
Yeah, there we go. We'll probably get sued.
6.5 level.
Oh god. Yeah, but so referrals are a great one, especially because referrals, they've seen the results of that friend or their associates. And also most of the times they're already aware of the price point. If they still, after all that, if they still decide to hop, and this is another thing that a lot of businesses kind of know about, maybe don't, so they'll kind of see the back end, like the behind the scenes of the program, because their friend might have showed them something from the program. Hey, this is how the course looks like. Here's how the coaching sessions look like. Oh, that's cool. So like they hop on a sales call, they're there to buy basically.
Yeah. I mean, like you were on a call with a rental arbitrage coaching company and you were like, you pissed them. And I was like, I got on a call. I didn't know who the owner was, like what the business model, I didn't know anything. And then I was like, later in 30 minutes, I was like, no objections. I was like paying myself also. Yeah, I mean, that's the power of referrals really. I was like, I don't want to think about it. I don't want to do research. You've done the research. I trust you, brother. So let's get this going. You know, let's do this together.
Yeah. Funny enough, we didn't. We didn't do the Airbnb business.
No, no.
Kind of glad we didn't, but that's okay. Nothing to do with the course. It's just that we didn't decide to do it.
Yeah, it's just low hanging fruit again. Like, I mean, we have these expertise, skill set. Like we had I think being vulnerable here, I think we both had imposter syndrome. Like we need to have more experience. We need to, but the thing is, it's not about experience. It's about thinking outside of the box and just trusting yourself. Like Alex Ramosi said it, do you want to be right and politically correct, or do you want to make money?
Yeah.
Like, I want to be both, but I want to make more money though. Like,
Matt said the same thing. Matt said, as a sales, when he was like talking to sales reps, like me, for example, is like, man, do you want to be right? Like, for example, a lot of sales reps, I fall into that victim too, is on a sales call, let's say objection handling, or in a sales call discovery, the sales rep like try to win the argument, quote unquote. They'll try to be right? But they end up losing that sale. It's not about lying or like just being a pleaser, but at times they're just like, just get the sale, right? As long as it makes sense. So Matt was like, hey, do you want to be right or do you want to make the sale? Same thing.
I mean, we can fucking do this, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, like I was telling you, like, I mean, you might have to share the story.
Yeah.
So you're like, I'm going to do the rental arbitrage. I'm going to do whatever business model out there. I'm also like, should I do Amazon? Like all these, I don't know, all these business models out there. But the thing is, like we've built this, we've cultivated this skill set. We've experienced a lot in terms of management also. Like there are times where I'm like, do you really call yourself a manager? Really? When I'm the only one tracking data and hiring for this business, what are you really doing? Do something. I was like, heck, the entry barrier for this seems so low.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I never really trusted myself. I was like, I'm not good enough. I gotta just get more experience. And I think that was what's going in your mind. It's like, I think you had this wrong perception that sales management is difficult, or it's just not for you, or it's just you're not gonna have fun. But we're already doing it in a way. You know, we're consulting already different businesses, and you're already having fun. Like I already see, like, because when we're like taking sales calls, we're like, we love being better at it, but you and I never really enjoyed it to its fullest. Like we never found fulfillment in it. But when we're talking about processes, when we're talking about growing businesses, that really lights a fire, really.
Yeah.
Like we love that. Like we just had a business meeting also in terms, and we're like using our own sales skills to really just try to close that deal also. But that's where you find like delight and fulfillment in like these type of conversations, also creating content as well, right?
Yeah.
Like the thing is, if you feel like you have enough experience, let the market decide. Like don't let your own inner voice decide. If you actually suck, the market will decide for you, at the end of the day. Like you might make some good money in the beginning, but guess what? You'll crash. But if you're actually good, you'll actually make good money, but you'll be sustainable as well. Yeah. So we really got a lot to provide in this world, you know, in this sales industry, because the things that you know, the 17 different offers that I work with, you know, I wish they also know, you know. Yeah. But by the way, there are a lot of like solid managers that I work with also, like Adam or Heisam also, shout out to them. They're really great people. But I mean, seeing them, it's like, oh, I mean, we got to do it also. We can do it.
Let's talk about that. So what are some sales team, like sales managers that you've been a part of that you liked? No, let's talk about some things that you didn't like, and also some things like management that you've been under that you did like and were effective.
First of all, this is not coming from a place of arrogance or anything. I think I'm just pretty decent at what I do now in terms of sales,
Yep.
I mean, you've been there also. You've heard my calls as well.
Yeah.
Verified by a 7th level, 7-second guy, by the way. But what I've seen is that unnecessary meetings for the sake of doing meetings. I mean, you've been there also.
Yeah.
And we're like, why the fuck am I here,
Yeah.
Like, I'm just wasting time. I'll use this time to just make more money. Like, you don't need to tell an A player to do what they need. Like, they'll do outbounds. They'll do whatever they can to close that deal. Just, like, bring in more leads. I don't know. Like, whatever. Just make sure that I'm just fully provided in terms of lead flow and everything to make sure that I'm doing the right things. Don't try to skill train. Like, I'm going to pay my own money to skill train. At least that was for me,
Yeah.
It doesn't apply for everyone, but at least that was for me. And second thing is, if you have a good enough reason to actually do the sales meeting, like, I mean, the reps will show up. Like, if the reps actually see the reason why they need to show up to the meeting and they actually make more money with being on that meeting, they actually are enlightened in certain ways, I'll show up. I just did. Like, that's what happened with Adam, for example. Like, he skill trained me a lot also. There were periods where I was just like 2 weeks in, and I know I was doing better than other closers in terms of skill set because Adam was like telling me, hey, like, you're doing everything perfect in the calls. I don't know why people aren't buying. Maybe it's because I'm yellow.
Yeah,
Could be. Let's see.
Could be.
But like, those are the hard times, and Adam would be like he would tell me, hey, like, go do outbounds. These are lead lists, by the way. Don't worry about it. I got you taking care. Like, those are the traits of a sales manager, like, and management. And to this day, like, I really have a good relationship with him. Like,
Amazing.
I respect the guy also, and Haisam as well. He understood like how I want to be managed also. Like, by the way, he's from 7th level also. I think he's sales sniper as well. Like, super good guy, like super chill guy as well. He was like, yeah, I don't agree with the whole like 5 days a week sales meetings. I agree in terms of supporting you and believing your skill set and just making sure that the lead flow is there, making sure that you're taken care of over here so that you don't actually leave, which I did leave, by the way. But it wasn't because of him. It was because I just had bigger dreams, bigger goals. And
No, I get it. Let's talk about one company that we used to sell on, and then they had daily like 1 hour long sales meetings. I wanted to blow my brains out. And then what did we do? Did we show up to the meetings or what did we do?
No, I was just eating or cooking in the behind. It's considered unprofessional, but what's more unprofessional? Not making the money?
Yeah.
Not getting those sales, or just showing up to the meeting and being like the best guy in the meeting, but like just not making the sales. It just doesn't make sense.
Here's what I see. Lead showing up to a sales call and a sales rep showing up to a sales meeting is kind of similar because they got to see the value in showing up.
Yeah, I mean, the sales managers like keep on telling you, oh, you got to say this. You do it then.
Yeah.
First of all, and second of all, like do more outbound dials. Lead flow is gonna come. You got a new media buyer. F that. Like, how many times has a new company brought in a new media buyer and the lead quality went up? Like, we're trying to fix everything in the back end, like making fake promises to the reps, which after like 1 month, 2 months, nothing's changed. It's just fake promises. That's the best way to lose your reps, by the way. The moment you just lie to your reps and not be candid with what's going on in the back end, the easiest way to lose respect or just not be able to hire like 8 players, in this game.
Yeah, that's a good one. Another thing too is the marketing and the operations and the sales team need to be communicating on what's happening, because what I found is that, let's say a deliverable on the offer changes, right? Let's say they used to do one-on-ones, but they stopped doing one-on-ones, right? But the sales team were not acknowledged of it. I've had that happen numerous times where the deliverable change or there's like a discount. I didn't even know there's a 10% discount thing. And then I hop on and the prospect.
Better to not know, by the way, when it comes to the discount.
Oh, yeah. And then they're doing a promotion and the prospect's like, yeah, but like this 10% thing, I got a text. I'm like, and I was like, in my mind, I was like, what? But I can't like just show that. I was like, okay, cool. And then you just have to you can improvise, but now you're just on the back foot, you're just getting blindsided. So that's why
it's creating another friction again, unnecessarily.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why it's so important. It's like if the deliverable change, hey guys, we're changing this, like sales team, just so you know, and the sales team, it's a collaborative thing instead of like, hey, your shit, fuck you. It's like, hey, like this going on, just so you know, so we can make these changes, so on and so forth.
I felt like there was always a lack of communication between the marketing and the sales. I mean, at the end of the day, like we both can't be friends, but we can still communicate. We can still hate each other, but we can still communicate on what's going on to solve a common problem together. which is not. I mean, marketing wants to what? Get more sales.
Yep.
Sales team want to get more sales. And let's. I mean, you guys don't have to like each other, but at least work together on solving the problem together.
Yeah.
How? Communicate. You know.
Yeah.
If something's going on, just be candid about it. Like, hey, lead flow is going down. We're trying to fix everything. Like, this is what we're putting in process in place. In the next 2 weeks, I mean, lead flow will be dead. But what we're trying to do in the back end is how we're trying to solve it, and like just communicate around that.
Yep.
Like sales manager perspective, marketing perspective, and sales team as well. Also, if sales rep is like, hey, like if sales rep has like what, like at a certain time where they're not making any sales and they're in like a rut, like again, the sales management job to make sure that that rep is well taken care of, or even in the worst case scenario, make the decision of should you keep this rep or not really.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So there are some ones that you didn't like. So let's talk more about the sales management being under where this was really good. Some examples.
Yeah, so like I said, Adam was a prime example. Like when it comes to the, like, I think a lot of companies need to take his onboarding process when it comes to reps.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Onboarding process, like, I don't know why onboarding needs to take like 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Hey, like we need closers urgently. And then like I get in, like there's no leads coming in.
Yeah.
Like, it's just trying to build up. And like, why did you hire me 3 weeks before, you know? Like, hire me later. But the thing is, like, what Adam did with me was he would send me a doc that is already pre-made, and he would put like 3 pages, you know, and he would tell me day 1, this is a page that you need to complete. Like watch these sales calls, for example, or watch these introduction of the deliverables. And then he would tell me, okay, once you're done, put it in the Slack channel and say, done, page 1. And then he would tell me, okay, second day is the second page where you look at the company's visions and like the client testimonials, like study them and let me know once you're done. And same pattern. The onboarding was done in 3 days, literally in 3 days. And in 3 days, I already felt like, shit, I'm ready to sell. Like, I got everything I need to know. I didn't feel like, oh, I'll just figure out I felt like, oh, I already know this stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like I feel like I've been selling this for like, I don't know, like a year ago, you know? So the onboarding process was a T. Second thing was he would not only be there just to train on skill set, but also at the same time would be there to mentally like just help you out. Like I was in a really bad rut. Like I was doing everything perfect by the books, or there's some minor like adjustments that I needed to make, but overall I think I did everything perfect by the books. And Adam also can vouch for me on that, but like I wasn't getting any sales. Then at that point, it's not really a mindset problem. Like you just lose belief that, oh, okay, in the next call, show up, like, is he gonna buy? Like that doubt just creeps in. Adam was the one that actually told me like, hey, just don't, like, I know that you're frustrated, but this will pass, this will pass, this will pass. And he would be like, keep on fighting with me, not fighting against me, and be like, do more outbound dials. Like he would, how he communicated with me was like, more like, he would enlighten me to do more stuffs than to guilt and shame me to actually do more stuffs. Like he'd be like, hey June, you got more? Like in the meantime, like to get your head out of all this, just do more outbound dials. Like don't worry about it. Like if you don't make sales out of it, just do it, you know. Like just do something, you know. Instead of like, oh June, you're not making any sales, so go do more outbound dials. Different communication, but different results, you know.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. That's my belief system. So I'll just go do it.
Yeah.
So how you communicate with your sales rep is extremely important.
100%.
At the end of the day, and he was very strict to the point in terms of what needs to be done, and expectations was clear also. So I think those are some things that I'll be stealing, by the way. But I mean, I learned a lot in terms of onboarding, the hiring process as well, and really just keeping expectations clear, candid conversation and communication also.
Yeah.
I mean, you cannot make the business owner happy and the sales team and the marketing team. You cannot make them all happy.
Yeah.
But the thing is, what do you need to do to make sure that you're, at the end of the day, getting the results, despite everyone being unhappy, though?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, if the results fall, then whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. I think that's the common theme of, because I've been under some of the best like management and training ever.
Yeah, I mean, what about you? Like when it comes to like the best management, like what have you seen so far that made you feel like, oh, this guy's good, or this type of management doesn't suit me.
Yeah, let's start with like the ones that I feel like weren't the best. So I've been on management, and I know we talked about this too, where so the daily unnecessary sales meeting, I want to blow my brains out. It's like this is not, and the thing is, I'm just not getting much as a closer, as a sales rep. I'm not getting much out of the meeting because it's kind of like a fuck around. You just go in there, it's like a circle jerk, they just talk, and it's like,
okay, playing devil's advocate though, there are people that say, oh, like I mean, reps are lazy, so they need that daily accountability, or they need to be taken care of. What's your idea on that?
depending on how it's done, because if there's a clear KPI and then the reps are actually hitting that, like if they need help with, one thing I liked when I was at 7th level, shout out to David Duncan, like David did well, is just like these meetings were not mandatory, they're optional. So if someone gets a no-show, if they're free in that spot and they need some help with specific things, they can hop on that and they can do a quick role play, they can ask a question, it's like, hey, like what should I do? And then one of the senior reps will help them out, so on and so forth, right? Or there'll be like a trainer, right? So you can help them out. Those are good. But what I didn't like was like, I'm not getting much out of it. And then like, what are we doing here? And then I didn't like that. And
Why not?
just because I'm like, dude, I could be like, this is a good question. I'm like, dude, I could be calling leads right now. Yeah. And that's a thing with, there's different archetypes of sales reps, right? There's the doers where we fall into the category. I was like, we're just like, okay, I'm just going to pick up the phone. I'm going to call them. I just got to do it, right? The how of execution of it, we may need help with, but like during this time, like I'm losing money, right? So that's the thing. What I did like, and the onboarding too, that's so true. Because like, I feel like sales rep onboarding is usually one or the other spectrum. One is that, hey, here's a script, some call recordings, tap on the bum. All right, go out there, champ. So I've been
A players will still bang it out, but I mean, like people that are relatively new or just haven't sold different types of offers, like they're in a lot of trouble. You know, you're burning a lot of leads with that, really.
Yeah, so there's different journeys of the sales reps, or different stages they're at. And there's the other parts which, like you talk about, it takes like 2 to 4 weeks of start taking sales calls. I'm like, dude, what are we doing here? Just like give me a sales call. I'm like, let's do this. Yeah. Right? So it's like the other side. What I did like about certain companies I've been with is like, okay, so here's like a info pack, right? He's like, here are the funnels, go through it, right? Here's the problems we solve. Here's the VSL. Here's the offer. Here's the deliverable. Here's some sales call recording, successful ones, unsuccessful ones. Here's the common objections, right? Here's the marketing. Go through it.
Yeah. I remember we were selling the same offer and we were getting on the meeting and the meeting was about building rapport.
Yeah.
It was a whole hour of building rapport and like this whole like abstract, philosophy about building. I'm like, that's not even practical, first of all. No. And second of all, like build a report, like come on, like just ask the right questions at the right time. Like just care.
Yep.
Like how can it be so difficult?
Yep.
I was even a sales rep. I was even like a seasoned sales rep, but I knew like this is just total bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, what am I learning over here?
Yeah.
Just give me the juice and just F off.
Yep. Exactly.
It is what it is.
Yeah, but what I did like about certain management, I agree with you, is if the sales manager, sales director, or whatever you want to call them, is they're on the same side as you, they're cheering for you, and instead of getting confrontational, let's say someone's numbers goes down, right? Instead of being like, dude, like what's going on, right? I've had that too. But
sales managers, there are a lot of sales managers like that. I mean, they're not even making more money than you. They like to talk down on you though.
Yeah, I think and before, when I was a sales rep, I was like, oh, like, why should I listen to you? And that's another thing. I think sales managers need to be clear on what their roles are because, for example, like we both know, they're like, let's say I'm struggling with certain objections. There's sales managers like, oh, I can listen to your call, give you some feedback if you want. But that person has never sold, or they were a very unsuccessful sales rep that got promoted to a manager because they couldn't sell. So in the skill set side of things, I wouldn't go to them, right? But one thing, some managers, what I give a lot of props to them for is they understand they're not a skill set guy. So they're not gonna be like, hey, so let's look at your call together, let's role play. They weren't doing that. They're like, if they're like a data-driven person, hey, let's look at your data and let's problem solve together.
I think one of the questions that David Duncan, you told me about this, that he asked you, hey, Brian, how would you like to be managed?
Oh,
like, that's a banger question, by the way. I've never been asked that question before. I'm like, wow, I wish I was asked that question as a sales rep.
True.
Like, what would be your advice with business owners or managers out there in terms of like managing a sales team? Like, how would you want them to communicate or like do these like daily meetings, or
Yeah.
how would you structure it in a way?
I think market research is a big one because, business owners do market research for what do the prospects want, what do the clients want. Like, hey, what do you want to buy? What solutions do you want to your problems? But they're not asking the reps, hey, what do you want? What do you need? How do you want to be managed? What kind of sales trainings help do you need? Well, it's something David did so well because he and I had a one-on-one when I was a rep there is, hey, how do you want to be managed? And I told him, it's like, I don't want to be managed that much. That's just how it is.
You're just basically telling it, just F off.
Well, not that, right? I know you're saying that as a joke, but yeah, I was like, yeah, I don't want to be managed that much. He's like, okay, cool. And then, okay, so.
And he actually said, cool.
Yeah, and like he was cool with it.
Dang.
And he was cool with it. And that's something I have a lot of respect for him. And then he's like, okay, so when your overall sales, like what kind of help and support do you feel like you need in order to hit your commission goal, right? And then I told him, hey, I need help with this. I need help with like maybe some objection handling, for example. I feel like if Matt did the trainings, because Matt, he was a CEO at the time, but he was such a successful rep on that offer, and the way he sells, I'm like, man, I want to sell exactly like that. But he stopped doing the trainings because obviously he's busy. He was doing the other things. And I was like, if Matt started doing the trainings again, that would be super valuable. And then he made it happen. And then Matt started the training. It was so helpful.
Because a lot of sales managers are like, oh, I'm open for feedback, telling you what needs to be adjusted. But I mean, seldomly like anything has changed. Like, I mean, like, hey, June, like, what's your opinion on this? Like, how would you fix this?
Yeah.
Like the sales manager, the business owner would come to me. I'm like, okay, I think I would need this type of process, this type of testimonials to actually pre-handle these type of objections. I'll give them the actual data. Nothing's changed 1 month, 2 months.
Yeah.
But it's crazy that someone that can actually come in and be like, oh, like, Brian, what do you need from me? Okay, cool. Skill training was met.
Yeah.
Let's get it going,
Yeah. And to be fair, you can't make everything happen that the reps want.
For sure.
Right? But the fact that he went out there and he came up with like just like when you go to college, you have like algebra 101 or whatever. We both dropped out, so we check shit about that. But okay.
Sounding smart here though.
Exactly, just pretending.
Like the Asians.
Exactly, the gurus. But he came up with a schedule, like a training schedule. Okay, Monday we're gonna go over this, Wednesday we're gonna go over this, Friday we're gonna go over this. You don't have to be there, but if you need help with this, just hop on. So almost like having a coaching program that you would buy, but for your sales team. And then when I had that was so helpful. So if I don't help with this, I wouldn't hop on. But if I didn't help with this, I would hop onto that, right? So that was very helpful. And another thing that was very, very, very smart that David did was he went into the sales team and looked at the data, and then said, who's good at this particular thing and who's the best at this particular thing? So he wasn't trying to come up with like, hey, how do I build this process? He did that too. But if the answers were already there, he didn't even do that.
Right.
Because he's like, okay, who's the guy who has the high show-up rate? Hey, Brian, can we hop on a call and show me your show-up rate process? Sure thing. And then I showed him da-da-da-da-da-da. And then we started rolling it out. Reps were at like 50% show-up rate. They got to like 65% show-up rate.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my advice to business owners also is like the same thing. Like, hire an operator that can actually put the right talent in the right places, first of all. And second of all, speed of implementation.
Oh, yeah.
Huge. If you got a feedback, like, we get it. Time takes time.
Yeah.
But speed of implementation, you can see that. Like, implementing something doesn't take time, though, really. Right? And being able to really just, like I said, identify the right talent, being able to speak their language as well, like asking good questions, like how would you like to be managed or taken care of? Like, for example, Bogdan example, right? He didn't really need any skills training or anything, but what the company did for him was like they would send him like supplements, like nutrition plans or anything like that, because he was like sleeping, like he was like in Bali, like working from like 10 p.m. to 8 a.m.
Yeah.
So they were concerned of his health rather, his biorhythm. So they would actually send him like health products, or put him with a health coach. I was like, that was mind blowing.
Amazing.
Like, I mean, that's what he needed though, right? Yeah. And that's probably what Bogdan will be very, very appreciative, because he was talking about, I was like, I'm super grateful that my company was able to do that,
100%.
They were able to identify the problem of the closers and be able to communicate and just make adjustments behind that. But I feel like a lot of business owners, they just want to do more for the sake of doing more. But as I said, like, less is better.
Yeah.
I think it was like what Bruce Lee said it.
There we go. Someone.
Be like water.
There we go. Bruce Lee, Sifu, whoever said it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our Asian king.
There we go.
You'll be your Asian king.
Are they gonna kick us out?
Yep, they're gonna kick us out.
They're gonna kick us out.
Yeah.
It's been let's check the time. Oh, we're actually overtime. So
They
let's
said
actually
2 minutes.
Yeah, so we'll actually wrap it up. So if you enjoyed this episode, smash that like button. Comment below again your podcast name suggestion that will get us canceled. And share this with people you feel like this could potentially benefit them. Other business owners.
Share it to the business owners that you hate.
There, exactly. So let's do that. Anything else?
No, I mean, share it to the business owners and sales managers that you absolutely hate.
There we go.
And I mean, if you can help, we'll help
Yep.
also. Bring us on.
All right, let's do that. And if you have any other suggestions, topics that you want us to cover, we'll do that. Until then, we'll see you soon.
Peace.